This video is part 2 of using rubbing alcohol to create gorgeous collage papers, and it is the exact opposite of how I showed you how to do it in part 1, with very different results. If you want to watch part 1 after this one, the link is at the end of this video. Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share weekly art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in this video, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel. Links to make these papers are under the Show More button down below, and while you're there, you might want to check out my free 5-day class where I show you how to use all of the papers made during Tune In Tuesday to make fabulous collages the very first try. So let's get into creating collage papers with rubbing alcohol, part 2. This is where we're headed. We're going to be doing alcohol papers, and this is a little different than the last time I did alcohol papers. So let me tell you the difference. So part 1 of this was very, very different. So what I did the first time was I took very watered down acrylic paint and I dropped alcohol on top of it to create these kind of craters, and then I layered layer upon layer to get this dimension. That was part 1. And I will give you part 1 as a link under Show More, and it will also be the very last link in this video in the replay. But this time we're using the same ingredient, which is rubbing alcohol, but instead of having it as the base layer, this is actually the bottom layer. So with these, I actually take a raw piece of paper like this, drop alcohol on it, and then put different kinds of, they're paints, but they're not acrylic. They're not true acrylic paints the way that we're used to using them. For instance, this is just acrylic paint. So I'll show you exactly how I'm using these. So the materials to make these papers, first the paper. I am actually using this particular paper. It's a mixed media paper. It's 108 pounds. I love this paper because it's thick, but not too thick that I can't rip it up easily for collage. This paper also works well. It's a drawing paper. It's 80 pound. Now I also got drawing paper that was 75 pound, and believe it or not, it didn't work near as well. So I would say 80 pound and higher works better for this technique. Then you need some paints to drop it on top of. And this is where it gets tricky. It doesn't work with all paints. So walnut drawing ink works amazing. Now I'm gonna show you how all of these work. Marabou spray art spray, I guess it is. Marabou art spray. This comes in all different colors. By the way, all of these will be linked under Show More. And these fabulous sprays work really well. These are Delusions shimmer sprays. These work amazing. So those are the 4 things I'm using. Now, what doesn't work so well is plain old acrylic paint. India ink doesn't work. Calligraphy ink does not work. Fluid acrylic, no. Acrylic inks, fluid paints. I tried this with all of those, and it was a complete fail. So this is a very sticky kind of technique that only works with certain kinds of both papers as well as what you're going to put on top of it. Now you do want a large paintbrush, so like a wide paintbrush like this. I actually splurged and got this thing. It's got a splatcher. It's actually plastic. Too much fun to use. I just had to have it. But you definitely can use something like this instead, or even a thinner paintbrush. A wide paintbrush makes it go faster. You do need an eyedropper of any kind. And of course you need alcohol. So you can get 70% or 91%, doesn't matter, they both work the same way. And for a couple of these techniques, you also want a spray bottle. I actually put alcohol in a spray bottle. I also have water in a spray bottle. So let me put these aside. So let's start with the most basic one. And most of these I did show either on a reel or a short. Okay, so I just put some alcohol into this little petri dish. I'm just going to gently drop some drops of alcohol on my page. Now again, this doesn't work on all paper. So it has to have a little bit of thickness to the paper. Like copy paper doesn't work, nor does rice paper. Doesn't work at all. But this particular paper, which is a mixed media paper, 108 pounds, I think it was, works like a beauty. Now, so if you can see this, there's a little bit of pooling of that alcohol right there. And I'm just gonna see if I can get this to dry really fast. I'm blowing it. Because I don't want the alcohol to spread when I put the walnut ink on it, which I'm gonna try with this first. Let's see, it's almost dry. So this is pretty absorbent paper, so it goes right into the paper itself. You can actually see how see-through that is. It's pretty cool effect without this. So first thing I'm going to do, oh, I got some little, hold on, let me blow this off. There you go. Okay, I'm just going to drop this on here. Notice how it just like sits on the top. That's part of why I believe this works so well. It doesn't absorb into the paper. Now I'm just going to spread this around with my little splatcher. I've got a lot of pooling already on the side. Okay, now that could be just your basic paper. You know, so if those of you who are have taken workshops with me, you know that I like to have some neutral papers to make things with. So again, and the more I spread this around, the more I'm making this dark. However, I can also make this lighter. I actually like the lighter version of this. So I just sprayed a little water on it. Now, I could just let that dry just like that is, and I think that is pretty cool. Or I can take a bunch of this off, and I like that better. So it's all personal preference, but I'm actually going to leave this particular one exactly the way it is because I like having some neutral papers that I have made myself as opposed to getting them from other sources. A lot of times neutral papers for me come from letters or things I've just found, but I like that a lot. So let me do another one, same idea. I'm going to do the same concept. Here's my alcohol. So I'm going to do the same thing. A little, by the way, I'm going to be showing you 6 different ways to do this, 6 different designs. And as always, I think, oh, this is going to be a really easy paper to demo, right? Because it just seems so basic. And then once I get into it, I go, oh my gosh, there's so many ways of doing this. So I'm letting this dry for a second. This is my huge pile. And these are just the ones that sort of made it. Like they worked mostly. I have a whole pile that's equal to that didn't work at all. So I go through a lot of trial and error. So I'm just letting this dry. Because if I put the walnut ink on this right now, what will happen is it will actually take that alcohol and make a whole different design. So it'll smear, and I don't want it to do that. So I'm just letting it dry a tiny bit. Okay, so I'm gonna risk it and add some more. You know, it's so funny, there's so much walnut ink on the side here, I probably could just use what I got. And I think I'm gonna try to do that, like pull it off from the paper itself. So I'm not wasting this precious walnut ink. Now again, I can add water to this right now to make it lighter. And I think I'm going to do that because that's just my personal preference. Okay, now the one I'm showing you right now is the one I actually showed in my reel. It's one of the ones I showed in my reel. Okay, so I've got this nice base layer. Now I'm going to take, actually, what color should I take? I've got all these yummy colors. I've been using this green one, but I just bought this red one. I don't know what this is going to do, but I love it. At least I love the idea of it, right? So just squirt a little bit. And I have a couple options here. I can do this and kind of spread it out this way. I can also add a little water just so that I have, and I really love those rings. So if I let this dry just like this, which is an option, those rings would actually show up exactly the way they are, like kind of halos. Okay, so that's interesting. But why leave good enough alone, right? I've also got, this is one of my favorite ones. This one's actually called, what is this one called? Pure Sunshine. Love this one. It's an orange. I haven't done this before, so we'll try it. Okay, that's doing nothing. Well, that's not true. It is doing something. So I like that. It kind of adds to the kind of adds to the depth of it. It's not just one color. I think that's pretty. And I could put another color on there too. Okay, I'm just gonna risk this. I also have a yellow. See if yellow would do anything. Yeah, it does actually. So it just adds some interest to it. Okay. Okay, the third one we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this rubbing alcohol, and rather than kind of very controllingly put all those dots down, I'm gonna put some of this in my hand, just kind of randomly throw it on there. Okay, that's plenty. And then I am going to, let's take my red again, because I haven't used much of this, and I'm going to spray this. Already neat, because it's actually going right where I want it to. Now I could leave it just like this. I like this. However, add a little water. Yikes. Okay, so this is interesting, but I can make it even better. I'm going to take this shop towel and just see if I can pull up some of that moisture. And I like that a lot. Let's see, pull a little more. I can even drag it across it. And now I have something I really, really love. And it's so organic. You know, you can't predict that. And it's a very interesting piece of collage fodder. Like I could use that. I mean, I could use many pieces of that. In fact, I might, when we get off camera, make 5 more of these. I really like that. Okay, that was number 4. I think I'm going to keep using this little mess I have here. Okay, so I got a stencil. So I'm going to place a stencil over my piece of paper. And I'm going to take, this is alcohol in this spritzer. And I'm going to try to keep this pretty close to the edge here. Okay, so it's just wetting the page. If you can see this, I got some alcohol spritzing marks here. And now the question is what to put on top. Now I want to try, this is the Marabou Art Spray. Unfortunately, my little spritzer just no longer works. These little bottles, and this is including these bottles, I have the hardest time getting the actual spritzer part of this to work the way I want it to. Over a long period of time, they tend to break. So I'm going to add this and see what happens. So this is like a dark gray. Spray this. Oh, it's not working. Well, it's working and not working. So I've got some things going on here. I may not have put enough alcohol in it. But no fear, because I can put I can put this right back on it and add more alcohol and see if I can get a better result the second round. Put that down. And I think I'm going to pour it as opposed to just pour a little more on here, see if I can get some more of that design going into the stencil. Yep, it is going in. So this is one way you can layer these. Okay, oops. Now, so I've got this going. I want to make it a little more interesting. So I'm going to take this stencil again, and I'm just going to like offset it a little bit. And again, I'm going to put some more alcohol in it and hope for the best. And I'm going to put this is a Pure Sunshine, which I think is beautiful. And see what I get if I spritz that on top. You know, as all collage papers are, at least for me, it's kind of like a grand experiment. Okay, that's not bad. But I think I can do better than that, of course. So, I actually like that. The question is how much more to put on here. But I think I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to not even put alcohol in it. I'm just going to put some red. Whew, okay. Well, it's okay. It'll actually do for a piece of collage paper. It's not my favorite. So I've got another stencil. And I'm going to do this again. I'm going to spray this down. But instead of putting that dark color on it, I'm going to put this green. And this green, it's really hard to see the colors here. Whatever this color is, it's some kind of teal. So I'm going to use this as the base. But I'm not putting it everywhere on here. Okay, so that's pretty. And I'm going to let that dry just like 30 seconds. And I'm going to put this back on here. But again, I'm going to kind of lay it kind of odd, you know, so that it's not completely in the right place, or in the same place, I should say. And I'm going to put this, my favorite one, which is this Pure Sunshine. Let's see if I can make something interesting happen by putting this through it. And I think that's really pretty. So that's gorgeous. Now, of course, because I don't think anything is good enough just the way it is, although I really should leave this one alone, just squirt it with water once. Well, 3 times. And I like that even better because it just makes it more intense. I just think that's gorgeous. So I'm going to do one more with just alcohol. I really like the plain alcohol drops as opposed to the, I like the organic look too. The organic look is this, which I think is really cool. I guess I tell you the truth, I like both of them. They just have different effects, each one. Well, see, I don't like that big blob. I'm into kind of like either it's all organic or it's just dots. Okay, so I got my dots, and now I am going to take my favorite color, which is this Pure Sunshine, spray it on. And again, it's going to catch in those alcohol pools. Now, I could leave it like that. I think that's fine. But I also think it's super cool when you add water to it. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of black there. Interesting. So, I have options here. I can leave it just like it is, or I can take, in fact, what I think I'm going to do is add more Pure Sunshine. Yeah. Too bad I got a little black here, but you know, that just makes it more interesting. So, a teeny bit of it up. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? More? I'm thinking we add some more water. Those of you who took Kickstart with me know that I think, you know, water solves everything. Now I like it. I just love the kind of like the little craters there. And I really shouldn't be handling this, but when it dries, this is one variation of what it might look like. You know, so I've got the little dots are still there, but everything dries and you have little kind of, I don't know, just interesting paper marks. So I will let this dry the way it is, stop messing with it. But to be honest, I'm just like so tempted to put some red on it, so why not? Oh yeah, okay, that just improved it. Because now I've got some, you know, like things are running, and I like them running. Okay, I am leaving it, I am not touching it again. So that is actually it for demoing the papers. Let me put this one right next to it. So I'm going to sign off. Bye everyone. Thanks for coming.